Hello.
Hi, I can't hear you. I now can hear you. I think. What can say something?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. All right. Yeah, that's cool. It's all cool.
So
Oh,
there was a change of plans. I have to have the class directly from the office
okay.
because there was some how do you say something that you are not expecting to.
Something unexpected happened, or
Exactly.
something unexpected. Some emergency, an emergency.
Exactly. With our work because we thought that we could manage to do some tasks and we compromised to finish them today afternoon and it was not possible and the worst thing it was to understand why was
Mhm.
not was not possible to figure out the problems. But yeah,
Mhm.
a problem for tomorrow, tomorrow morning now.
Oh dear.
How are you?
I am very well. How are you?
Well, thanks. Thanks.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. Now, I have actually, um, I have got, I have done I've asked ChatGPT to create, where was it now? Where is it now? I'm sure I'll find it. To create a little document
Hmm.
for us. 10 ways to testing report Pedro. Now, where is that now? Where do I find that? Testing. Oh no, where is it? Testing report Pedro. Testing report. No. Oh, I can't find it now. I have to find that on Word. Okay, let's do this. It's a bit of it's just basically some ideas what I put into ChatGPT,
Hmm.
and this is what he came up with.
Yes, actually, it's interesting because when you put aerospace software engineering, I'm pretty sure that it will go to the like flight management systems goes to the space segment or the flight segment. Yes, I'm working on the space ground segment, so the stations that are on the ground. But yeah, that is the real purpose from aerospace engineer. And my point in the future is to move to the flight or the space segment. Yes. So it
Mhm.
was interesting that he got a flight management system.
So yeah, this is basically what he came up with, and so this is one way. If we go through that, and then you can tell me how you can summarize that and make it simpler to explain to someone who is not technically averse.
Okay. Do you want me to start by the objectives
Uh,
or
oh, sorry, that's a bit too big. 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 Yeah, that's probably about right. Yeah, just
from
and
the beginning,
yeah,
the
yeah, just start
summary?
start from the beginning. Yeah, start from the beginning.
Okay, so executive summary, so is a very brief description from the work done, let's say, on the past month. I don't know, let's imagine a date. And also reports, a means to give feedback to managers and or it could be the how do you say the general audience or the general public? I don't know.
To the general public, yeah, to the general public, yes.
Well, yes, whoever is watching the presentation, because there are some conference, or yeah, they present the results, and some are private, others are
They
public.
present slow and clear, slowly and clearly. Pedro, slowly
Slowly,
and
okay,
they
slowly.
present the results. Yes.
They present results, yes. Or also it could be a marketing strategy also to present some.
Marketing.
Yeah, if they are presenting like a new system, they want to sell it to other air companies, airliners, or space companies. Probably they want to show to they prepare a thing to the general public, and to reach also people that don't belong to the area, or are not don't have deep technical knowledge on that specific topic. So yes, let me see. So it deals, or it concerns, a flight management system. From what I'm reading, they developed a flight management system. And with this report, of course, comes all the testing results that can prove that this flight management system is ready to be used, and it's very reliable. So it's what the people who is looking for, or who is buying a new systems, it's very interested on the reliability. So they want to be sure when they put the money, they will get a system that won't fail, or get always, I would say, like losses. If the system failed, it could damage the company who is buying the system itself. So yeah, regarding the objectives, so validate functionality against specified requirements. It's to show that the system can work in very different conditions or environments, and especially adverse environment, in an or at an adverse environment.
Very good. Yes.
Probably the system has some redundancy, how do I say?
Redundancy.
Redundancy, yeah, redundancy components. So it can, I think the right word is comply. It can comply with the law, or the main directives from, and we know that the space directives are demanding, or very demanding. Um, they the tolerance to the error is very small on those systems, because it's a high risk, let's say, a high risk systems. If something fail, the people, or whatever is inside the system is in danger automatically. So yes, ensure reliability. So this goes accordingly what I just said. Ensure reliability and robustness,
Reliability.
reliability and robustness under expected operational conditions. So I said even more. I said in unexpected operation conditional, but good that there is reliability for the expected operational condition. It means that if one component of the system fails, they have another one ready, or two or three, depends, um, because there are several single points of failure that are studied by the engineers, where it is more probable, I think, is the system to fail, and are on those points they build more components from that part. So if there is a failure, the other part can takes over without. But
Yeah. If there is a failure.
yeah, not a failure. Sorry, this
Well,
is here there is a misunderstanding about the concept. A fault. A
oh,
failure, a failure is when the entire system fails. A fault is when a part of the system fails, and it doesn't imply automatically that there is a failure. If you have redundant systems or a mechanism that can detect the fault on time and solve it by some way. Doesn't need to be perfect. It could be like some devices have like a safe mode. Um, it doesn't have all the functionalities, but at least it assures the security. Security or assurance? Not sure.
That depends. The security of the secure is something. Yeah, that's the thing. Secure is something what is safely strapped in, for instance.
Okay.
But what was the other word?
Assurance.
Assurance.
Mm.
Assurance is that you give an assurance that something will happen or is happening.
Okay. 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 I think it's security, the word that I also.
I think that is security. When you say failure, it sounds a bit like the word Fehler,
Okay.
meaning mistake in German.
Okay.
And that's why you need to be specific what word you mean, what word you use.
So how do I also failure? Failure.
Failure. Yeah.
Failure. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. Instead of failure. It's failure. Okay. Thanks. Thanks. So continuing. So evaluate performance metrics such as okay. This is not related with faults or failures. This is related with the system performance. Um, how good is the system if we command him to do a certain instruction, or it is expected from the system um, to do. So this is a flight management system. So it is expected from the system to control the aircraft when the autopilot is turned on. Uh, how fast the system goes to the desired trajectory, or how good is the system controlling the data that is coming from the sensors, and also sending data to the actuators, the turbofans, the rotors, the motors. So yeah, doesn't mean that the system, not only that the system avoid faults, but the system is very good and fast, and very precise, accurate. I think it's
Accurate. Accurate.
accurate. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So if you program, or if it is the system is programmed,
It is programmed.
programmed, or the aircraft. Let's use this example. To do or to do to fly um, at a specific speed, or at a specific altitude,
Altitude. Very good.
yeah,
Altitude. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
altitude.
Altitude.
Um, the system can't get the aircraft on that trajectory, or the path, right path,
Path.
uh,
The path.
on
The
that
flight
path
path.
soon, or as fast as possible. So it is a good system. Even now we could say even some sensor is not working fine, or if there are adverse weather conditions, we could say that the system has um, other methods to compute the values, the real values from the sensors, and so to send also accurate values to the actuators, so that the aircraft could follow the desired path, or the programmed path. Yeah,
Programmed path. Okay.
programmed path. Okay, and the last one, also, I think I already said, confirm the adherence. Yeah, it's the compliance. Yeah, I think it's about the,
Adherence to regulatory standards. Absolutely. The compliance. Absolutely.
yes,
And
I
what
think
are these? Are these documents?
I don't know those. I don't know those, the O178. I've never seen. I, I
They, could they be aircraft?
could they be, yes. The ones that I'm familiarized to with the
Familiar with?
are familiar with are the a ring. Those one I think it's more for avionics, so the electronics, aircraft electronics. And there are others for space. They call it. I think it's IC, but I'm not good with those names. Okay,
Okay,
don't
that's
judge. I think I'm not sure, but I think it's that. Those two, at least I'm more used to see documentation or that obey or that comply with those standards, or should I say that comply or
with those standards.
with
Yes,
those
that
standards? Yes, yes, the ARINC and the ECSS. So testing methodology, test planning, test strategy, combination. Yes, yes. Okay. Um, Regarding the tests, we could split into, let's say, not split into. These are two different approach. Okay, one is
approaches.
yes,
Approaches.
different approach. One is to change the external factors, the condition. So it is called the test environment. So it depends strongly on the simulators that you have and the ability that you have to simulate. Not simulate was not the word that I was looking for. To provide to provide different conditions that the aircraft have to face on the real world, let's say, and also we could say tests. We call it tests on flight in Portuguese. Those are the tests that are done already without simulators and in the air.
Okay, real life or real, or what are they called? Not real life tests, real world scenario. I would say
Oh,
real world
yeah,
scenarios.
well, yeah, or flight tests, or I don't know,
Hmm.
because there are also the ground tests that are tests that are made in the ground using the power of simulators and all the artificial environment, and there are those the flight tests that are stage after because they are already very dangerous. So
Where they take off, take off and land, and take off and land, and
yes,
take off and land. Those ones.
yes, and
Hmm.
to be with an experienced pilot ready for especially ready and for emergency situations, because it's testing things that have never fly in the past.
They have never flown in the past.
Flown in the past, exactly. They have never flown in the past. Yes. So regarding the testing strategy, yes, it's a combination of unit testing. So unit testing, what we are testing different parts of the system, forcing them and see that their limits, how do they work independently, and just have after um, being sure that those components are working well, uh, we do an integration test. The integration test is like the component with the interfaces already implemented between them, and we test also communication if data is passing through from one unit to the other unit, and also if the results, instead of analyzing just the output and the input and output in one single unit, we already use 2 or 3 units, introduce the inputs here, and we analyze the output after going through the 3 units, just to be sure they also work together, not only independently, because there could be that the units could influence one another, and there was no prediction about that influence, so that this has to be mitigated. So I think the system testing, I'm not really sure the difference between integration testing and system testing. For me, it's more or less the same thing. It could be probably in software, could be
That's
something.
that
Could,
is integration. That is more the yeah system testing. Yeah, integration testing. Integrate something is integrated into well, the program is integrated into my laptop,
mm,
and then you need to do the testing of the system. So unit testing, integration testing, there is there is a certain um, meaning to that integration that is not just something is integrated, but there is something integration. I've got it now as a translation. I don't want to translate it into
mm.
German. Integration. Integration. Okay. You get.
Yeah, the integration is correct. It's ensure that the individual components are integrated correctly.
Mm-hmm.
System testing helps to ensure that. Okay. System testing helps to ensure that the software functions correctly as a whole system. So the system testing is what I said last. The sending an input, all the system already connected, and sending an input and reading the output and watching if the general function or the main functionality of the software is giving the proper answer as expected. And I think integration testing is more related with those interfaces, communication, watching if data is passing from one unit to the other unit. Okay,
Yeah.
you see, okay, there is data passing through here, so yeah, the system is correctly integrated, but you don't know yet if the main functionality it is working. You know the system is completely connected and is connected as it should be, but the main functionality in it was not tested yet. So yeah, and I think the acceptance testing is related with the client. It's related with the high level criteria. So when the client doesn't need to know about technical details, he can just ask, I want automatic pilot or a flight management system that does this and has to work in severe weather conditions, has to be used at whatever. Of course, this all of this after has to be written by engineers because it's here when we um, establish goals between and also negotiate the price depending on what the system is able or not able to do, which are the limits, and which is responsibility from the company which is producing the system, or responsibility from the client that didn't ask for those extra functionalities. It could be that if the system doesn't work in the end as uh, the client wanted, or the client is not satisfied with the system, we have to go to the acceptance test and see, look, all you asked, it's here. You asked for a system that does that functionality. It does. You asked for a system that is in compliance with this standard. It is. So if you wanted extra more, you should have asked, or we can add this for the system, and we will do a new negotiation with an extension of the contract, and yeah, of course,
Price.
because
Adjustment of price, of course.
the
Yeah.
price, because it's also time, a matter of time for the
Absolutely.
engineers, and price, because if they are located for one more year or 6 months to do one extra functionality, they have to be paid. Yeah. So
Absolutely, yes.
so I think that is for the acceptance test. Yes.
Mhm.
Test design. So let's go for the test design. Comprehensive test case were
Right.
uh, derived things from requirement specification, failure modus, and operational scenarios. Yes. So test case. Okay. Test case is the people that are, let's say, the enemies from the developers. So there are the developers that, based on in one idea, they want to build a new system, and in the same company you have to have like the enemies, the guys that will force the system to break, or at least to know
Ah,
its limits. And just with a good work from both sides, because if the system is not forced to the limit, you won't discover the system weakness. So good a good team of enemies or testers or people that are just thinking in the most stupid conditions that can happen, that there are some just we can't predict, but in real world they can happen.
like
um,
for instance, that plane in the Brazil,
which one?
which
Of course, yeah, the one, yes, for example, the one that fell
fell out of the sky like that, and that
yes.
is one condition which they have to,
Yes, yes, but
in
there
theory.
there are worse. There were already rockets that get exploded because they didn't compute well, just changing the units from the Americans to the Europeans, because also the English, I think UK also, they also use different units, not the as the international system.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because they've got different electrical systems as well, haven't they? And that's
Yes, yes. And
that
also the distance, and they measure in inches. I think it's inches.
yes,
Yeah,
inches, not in centimeters.
yeah, exactly. Yes.
We've
So
got a different plug. Sorry.
yes, a plug. Yes, that's true. Yes, and I think uh, how the guys or the testers can think on the most stupid things that can happen, the better the system will be, at least like bulletproof, will fail much less, because I think and those guys are the test design, yeah, the test design team who build the test case. So uh, the test case are based on the requirements, of course, that comes from the client demanding, and the compliance regarding the standards compliance. Yeah? So they have to consider this, and also the operation scenarios are those stupid scenarios or normal scenarios. You start with the normal weather conditions, or assuming that every part of the system is working fine. You can assume that also one part of the system is not working, and how the other part would behave. Like a motor is just stop it.
Yeah.
And there are other strategies for the flight system to compensate. I think it's compensate the word, to compensate motor failure. And with the lift,
Engine failure.
yeah, engine failure, exactly. Just with the wings and the flaps, using just the aerodynamic forces, it could be possible for the pilot to control the aircraft, at least to land in a safe place. Oh yeah.
Yeah. That the plane basically just glides down just
Yes.
without the engines.
And I think when you refer to the traceability matrix, the second option, so ensured all requirements were mapped to the corresponding
Mapped.
mapped, yes, thanks, to corresponding test cases for coverage verification. I think this is for the case that we have limited time. We will never build the golden solution or the perfect system. So everything is a balance between the time that you have and how good you want the system to be. So you have to take decisions, but to take the best decisions, I think you use like those metrics I think in this case, or there are, I guess there are other strategies, but it's a way to measure the coverage from your system until the engineers from the testers and the developers say, okay, it's enough. The system is good enough, and especially for what were the requirements, or to say, okay, this is not, I wouldn't say good enough. How do you say satisfactory? Not satisfactory.
Satisfactory.
I don't know if it is a good
I,
word.
I think
Satisfac.
satisfactory. It is.
Yeah. Or they could say that if we increase not the or not focus the tests in the requirements, but if we increase the test scenarios, we'll get a better coverage instead of insisting on just on the client requirements, because it will cover that part, but won't cover probably adverse conditions or external factors. So I think, yeah, the traceability matrix, it's a way to show that the system, a way to measure that the system is very good, very reliable,
It's adequate.
adequate, yet adequate.
Adequate and reliable. Okay.
So unit testing, yeah, I think unit testing, you can, well, let's pretend I did this. So we used the JOT unit and the CMOCA tools to introduce the values on the different functions of the software. Yeah, we covered like 95% of the code, and we just found five minor defects related to input validation. I think this is already very precise. It's difficult to say this using other words.
Well, there you go.
Yeah,
That
because
is short. I mean, I don't think you have to elaborate on that because that is already, that's
yeah,
the facts, that is it, and that is that.
they
So,
they already had the work to split that by topics and just a short sentence to present the results. So integration testing, that exchange between navigation models and control. Here we could say something regarding the focus area, that was the system was tested specially on the navigation and control sides, how they interact. Their connections could be software, could be hardware, but the data exchange, and yeah, in that case we could. There are a lot of different ways to measure that, or to look at the data exchange. You could look just to the bits, to the data, the pure raw data that is being transferred from one part to other. You can look to the protocols and decode the message, like the navigation message, and see what is being introduced in the control system, and if the control system is um, responding to those inputs from the navigation, responding well. You can also look at the control. I was thinking. In the because I guess the navigation also, it is a closed loop. The control system should send also to the navigation some data, I guess. So there, I'm almost sure that there is a loop from the navigation to the control system, the main loop, and but the control system also sends some data to the navigation, like a feedback, and you can also analyze by that feedback if the control system is working fine and if the navigation is receiving all the input as it should and computing the next no compute the continue computing the navigation functions based on that feedback. Yeah. So simulated condition, that yeah, what we have been talking, the adverse weather conditions and most stupid scenarios, different parts of the systems failing at the same time. And yes, defects found, I think it's the result. Three critical defects related to timing issues, do that data latency. So I guess some communication fault could be due the electric interference, some problem in the wires, hardware, some faults until a certain level are considered normal. So they will always happen in the real world, and you don't focus on them, or you won't spend time on them unless they are more than the satisfactory or the reasonable.
Reasonable.
There's reasonable value, especially the data latency. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes. I think system testing. We can go. Yes, the system testing. All right. Okay. Um, the mission profiles, takeoff, cruise, and landing phase, especially the takeoff and landing phase are the most critical. Also, usually on the takeoff and landing phase, it is expected that the pilot also takes over the aircraft, and that's a more important role than, for example, in the cruise. In the cruise, the responsibility for the aircraft maneuvers are totally on the autopilot, on the flight management system. Yes, so I think those three scenarios were covered. We can move to the next topic, the performance metrics. So 120 micros, I guess it's milliseconds. I think it's milliseconds.
Millisecond.
Yes. Um, well, I don't know if it is good or bad, so I will say I don't know. Peak memory usage, 85% of allocated resources. Here I will do other variable, not only the peak memory, but how long did it use the peak memory, or how long did it use it? Did the system use it a lot of resources? Because you can say, okay, it just the peak was 85%, but if the most part of the time it's using 80% of allocated resources is also not good. It means someday it will need the other 20% and could easily reach the 100%. Yeah, so defects found, two major defects that affected navigation. Yes, navigation accuracy under specific scenarios. Yes, here I'm almost sure that those scenarios were very stupid scenarios, or after already several tries, just to force very uncommon situations to force the system to break. Nevertheless, they are important and good. They were registered, so the
Resist.
recorded. Sorry.
Recorded.
The major effects were recorded for the system better improvement, or yeah, to say that the system also can fail in if everything goes wrong at the same time. But it's important to the client to know specifically the probability of the
Probability.
probability of all the system going wrong, or the different parts of the system going wrong at the same time, and in which consists that scenario in very uncommon situations. But yeah, I don't know. If you say that the airplane is taking off and there is an earthquake at the same time, I don't know. I'm just things
That
like
can happen. Absolutely, that can
yeah,
happen.
that can happen. Or if there is a mechanical failure because the people responsible, the mechanics, the technical mechanics, I don't know, the guy just was sick and missed, or there was a distraction, and
He left a tool inside
yes,
the
yes,
engine or something like that.
yes, or something
That
like that. Also,
panics.
yes, so those scenarios are also, if you can predict them or test those scenarios better. Um, so yeah, that's what that goes exactly to our conversation before. The acceptance testing are for the stakeholders. So is to convince the managers and people that are not and don't need and don't want and don't have time to go on deep knowledge, on technical knowledge, because they have other not other jobs, it's other concerns, other tasks. Yes, but also need that information is very important for them, because it is based on the acceptance testing, on those high level testings that they can get all the data successfully to take the decision if they buy or not, or if they use or not the system. um, yeah, criteria for success, that careful, that can take sometimes uh, more time in negotiations than the money itself, because you have two sides battling. Of course, one side wants the best system as possible because they paid for it and want it as perfect and whatever, and the other side is more connected to the real world, to pay salaries. And also there are, like we spoke in the beginning of the class, there are
Unpredictabilities.
unpredictabilities that happen in every project, and you also have to consider them. So you need also a margin when negotiating, taking in account unpredictability, um, because it happens. It happens, related with technical things or related with human things. Could be that one of the main workers just goes to other company, and even if you if you hire the best worker in the world, it needs time to understand the system. It's just not putting a person here and from nothing and next day he will do the same job. No, sometimes it takes 1 year or whatever. Yes,
It takes
so
some time to train a person into, to integrate into that team, to integrate him into the system, make him familiar with the system.
exactly, that's my opinion. So the criteria for success, yeah, in the beginning, both sides have to be careful and has to be, how do you say that? I'm missing a word. When you, also the translation, when you don't fight so much for a thing, like an agreement. Okay,
Yes,
uh,
yes. Well, you are agreeable. You are
there is a word for that when you lower your demandings to reach an agreement, like in a negotiation.
amicable.
Yeah, I think it's that. I don't make a
Amicable.
amicable. Yeah, I didn't know that word. I'm discovering now. Yes, sometimes in negotiations that are very difficult, uh, you have to do an amicable. Amic
Amicable.
Amicable.
Characterized by friendliness and absence of discord. An amicable settlement of the dispute. Similar to friendly.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, and from the criteria for success, for me, the outcome comes out, or it comes automatically. The outcome that are the accepted conditions from both sides and documented. So there are no, they have, and that part they have to be very well written because it could not be that there are uh, how do you say, not misunderstandings when you interpret a thing badly. Misinterpretations, no?
Misinterpretations, yes, yes.
Yes, misinterpretations or uh, bad misinterpretations on purpose from one side to take an advantage from the other side. So this is like probably could take some cases lawyers or whatever. It's like law. So both parts have to agree that at a certain time these are the conditions, not less, not more. And if something is not accordingly to the conditions, there will have to be an extra negotiation and more money or whatever. Yeah. So issue tracking, I'll identify defects. Yeah, the logging is very important. So it's where you can record all the activity, and if there is some problem, you can inspect the logs and discover the root cause and what happened. It's very good to improve the system and also to find responsibilities if the system fails when it should not fail. Yeah. So yeah, total defects logged, resolved defects. Oh yeah, it means that they could understand the root cause for in 10.8. So 10 of 8. It's like
10 out of 8.
the,
8 out of 10, sorry.
8 of 10. So for me, it's very good, a very good number. And the two other
Now,
defects
logged, and resolved.
logged, exactly, logged,
And resolved.
resolved,
This idiot,
resolved.
you drop the E and you drop the extra,
Yeah,
the extra E. Yeah. It's a silent E.
yeah, resolved. Yeah, resolved. Okay. So compliance verification. Extensive verification was conducted to confirm the alliance. Documentation and traceability were evaluated. All three free critical were tested. Documentation was maintained. Okay. For me, this also an important part is the documentation because the system will be used, I guess, for many years by a lot of different people. So not only the technicals who build the system need to know how it works. It could be that people doing investigations or people that own the system and are using it want to know of some of their functionalities or need to know to repair the system because it could be that they hire other company to do the maintenance and the documentation has to be well, it sometimes it's not a priority, but it should be a priority because if it could be the case if the system has not or hasn't good enough documentation to support it, it could be that in some cases they can point you responsibilities because if it is not written and explicit, it could guide to other persons to point you some fault or something that is wrong on the system.
Can
And
you repeat that, please? Because um, you can point, they can point you to do
yeah,
something.
for example, you are explaining one functionality of the system, but it's not well written, or all the functionality is not uh, quite well explained. So it can lead to a
Explained.
explain
Explained.
explained. Okay,
The
explained.
E, the E, the E.
That is a Portuguese problem. See, it's the Portuguese accent. Yeah. So yeah, but coming back to it could be that a functionality is not explained as it should be, and lead to misunderstandings or misinterpretations, and they are expecting that the system works in such conditions or in a such way. Could be a pilot that is using the system, or a mechanical, I don't know, and the system doesn't answer as expected. So they,
Well, as expected.
yeah, response, yes, yeah, respond. Uh, and so if it is not properly documented that the system only works on very specific conditions, or if the functionality it's only that or that, they can point to the providers. I don't know, the owner. I don't know who produced the system. I don't know now.
To the producer.
The producer, the producers, and claim and by law that the system is failing when it is not failing in
It's
reality.
faulty. The system is faulty.
Yeah, the system is faulty. Yeah, when it is not. So um, all safety critical function were tested. Of course, the main functionalities, the main purpose, the most common scenarios always have to be more tested, of course, because during the system life expectancy, most of the time, let's say 90% or 95, it will work on those conditions. And just on those 5%, it will work on unexpected scenarios or less. So when they say safety critical functions, it's all the functions that work that have to work on the normal scenarios or normal conditions. Yeah? And of course, they have to be compliant with, I guess, those aligned with those DO
Aligned.
178 aligned, aligned. Yeah, I feel free to correct me, Alice. Yeah,
But that will help. But if you talk and I correct you, that will help you to
yeah, yeah.
maybe hopefully remember that in the future.
Yes, yes. Actually, I like, because otherwise I would forget what I've said. Since you correct me on in real time, it's easy for me to keep in memory what I've done wrong. So recommendations for the testing: conduction of regression testing after defect resolutions to validate no new issues are introduced.
Introduce.
This is the normal. When you introduce a change to the system, even if it is to fix a fault, it could be that that change provoke another fault. It happens a lot of times because it could be that that part has an influence on other parts, and that influence was not predicted, or as you know, the teams are sometimes there are a lot of people on the teams, and the person who will fix that is not the same person who started that part from scratch. So it could be that that person fix one thing or wants to fix one thing but damage others. So that is why there is the regression testing. Yeah, it's for that. Continuous integration, yeah, especially um, the communication between the systems. They say here the CI/CD pipelines. I guess they refer to like tools like the GitHub, GitLab, those computer science tools to keep track of the change of the system. So if something is changed and does not have or doesn't seem to have an impact at the moment, but in the future after 1 year we noticed that change provoked a problem. We have those tools, the continuous integration and continuous development pipelines, to track and to see, to fix, and to go exactly to the moment when the fault was done, or when the problem was created, and know the problem what happened at different things, and fix that. Yeah. Automated testing, of course, are tests that, let's say, the same system uh, can work differently from today and tomorrow with the same conditions. Yeah, it could be that by some reason something in the hardware is not working tomorrow. So is that even if you say, this was working yesterday, it could not be true for tomorrow. So those automated tests are very important. So are constantly provoking the system, or facing the system with problems, looking continuously for faults. And also they are kind of measuring the system reliability on time. It could be the system is very strong after a certain time, or during a big time period, but after a certain period it starts to fail. It's like the cars. After many
Yeah.
years, yeah. So
After 12 years, it sort of starts to go downhill.
yes, yes. And yeah, monitoring production. Yes, established telemetry. It's like to get a feedback from the software performance and detect possible problems, possible problems now or future problems. That is very important. That it could be the case that there is not a failure in the system yet, but you are looking at the performance data and you can already predict that with probability, with a bigger probability, the system will have a failure on a specific part after some time, and you can work in advance and avoid, avoid the failure. No, yeah. So conclusion. Uh, yeah, the system has proven his main functionalities. Also has shown very good reliability for very different scenarios, from the extreme to the more common. It was strongly tested on the common scenario, for the common scenarios. Yes, some critical defects. That is from the tests we got also critical defects, but good that we already got them. So they are already in investigation, and
Under investigation.
under investigation, and they will be addressed. So we can
Addressed.
addressed, so we can improve the system after it. Yeah.
Okay, great. That was brilliant. That's absolutely fantastic. Well done. Well done. Well done.
Thanks.
Well done.
Thanks.
That's great. So yeah, the ED, we need to kind of work on that a bit.
Yeah.
But no, that
ED.
was very good. That was very good. If you want to do a proper like presentation, like a proper presentation, then you need to be more fluent and you need to speak more concise.
Mhm.
Yes,
Okay.
and that you obviously have an agenda and then you just like talk through the agenda like as a proper presentation. But if you just present this particular document, then yeah, that was, if you talk someone on Zoom or over the phone through this document, then that I think is adequate. It was pretty good. So well done.
Thanks. It was a bit longer, too much. You said concise. Yes, I think that is.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, you could. What I will do, I've got another lesson now, but I will send you later. I will send that document to you when I find it on the PDF finally.
Yeah,
And then you can work at home. You can work on writing a concise
presentation.
summarization of that, and we can work that out next on when do we have a next
I
ah
think
Thursday.
Thursday. Yes. Okay. Okay. So that is the homework. Okay, already got it.
Excellent. Well done. And I see you again on Thursday. Okay.
Yeah, have a nice week. See you on Thursday.